3 or 4 guys from our task unit. We had to get more guys on yours.
Mm-hmm.
So I volunteered because I've never been to Afghanistan. So I was like, yeah, please send me. And because I did not want to go do PSD again.
Yeah.
And I almost said PTSD again because it's about the same thing. So I volunteered. I was like, I don't care what I do. Just like, get me over there. Like, because I heard the fighting was more intense. There was, was a more formidable opponent. But I just wanted to be over there. So I volunteered right away to go with you guys. And I'm glad I did.
Yep. It was a pretty boring fucking deployment, if you ask me. But
yeah, but it was cool to see the landscape, kind of get to know the people. That was like my first like troop in contact encounter. It was nothing big, but got to shoot the 240 at some trees where we were getting shot at.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And it's just like what I was saying earlier, like with doing the DAs in Iraq, it was just a small progression. Like, okay, you got your first like troop in contact. Nothing crazy, but it was just like adding another layer of experience.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just the way I look at it because there's no other way to look at it.
Yeah. Well, after that, so that deployment got cut short. We went down and to Kandahar, did a little bit of stuff with the CANSOF, which didn't really amount to much.
Right.
And then I'm not really sure what happened at the top level, but I'm fairly certain that we got kicked out of country.
I believe you're right because we shut the whole camp down.
Yeah.
Was it Camp Oled or something? Is that what it was called? Yeah, we shut it all down, and then we went back to Baghdad.
Yeah. So, what'd you guys do So we split ways there. I went to another platoon in Baghdad. You went to, I believe, your original platoon.
Yeah. So I went back with them, and they were doing what they called a mentorship for PSD. They almost did it again. PSD and like training their like Iraqis on how to do it, or other entities that were taking over. And it was a lot of sitting down, and then we were like, we had to do something. I mean, the worst thing you can do is get a bunch of team guys sitting around doing nothing. Mm-hmm. It just, good things don't happen. We're like a bunch of children, which that's fine. Like, we want to go operate. That's what we're created to do, and that's what we feel, right? And finally, we started getting some of the sniper ops. Like, I know Sadr City was going crazy. Some guys got lucky to, drop some bombs. And I think our snipers and radio men and medics got a lot of those, which I was none of. But got to do a couple sniper ops. Again, no shots fired on where I was. I know a couple guys got some.
Yeah.
Was that who you were with? That
yeah,
side?
that was we were the lucky ones that kept getting
I thought
kills.
So. Yeah, I thought so. But yeah, nothing. But it was just cool to, like, another mission, I guess you could say, to get experience on doing. Mm-hmm. But it was nothing. And then I realized, like, I don't ever want to be a sniper. This is so boring. Like, I want to kick down doors, man.
Yeah.
But it was great experience. It really was.
So from there, was that your last deployment?
At Team 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I screened or sent in my package to go over across the street to our Tier 1 unit, and they pushed it back. I was supposed to get back and go right into like a month later, a couple weeks later, and I got pushed 6 months and start doing go to our training detachment. And then I told one of the guys I was an operator over there, and he did something because he's like, "Hey, dude, you're doing the green team like right away when you get back." And all I was doing that deployment was jacking steel. Like, me and Jason Workman, that's all we were doing when I got to Baghdad, was just jacking steel as much as we could. So I put on like probably 10 pounds. Like, so I'm taking all the supplements, have my wife at the time send over anything and everything, just like to try to bulk me up. Because I'm like, if I'm not going to do anything, at least I can do is like just get bigger and get stronger. But definitely not faster. So I was like, crap. I was like, started stressing about the run. I was like, okay, I'm going to start running. So I kind of tapered off on the weights a little bit. And so like probably 2 or 3 weeks later, once we got back home, or total time, I had to be doing that screening test to get in. And I passed the run. Like, I had no problem with anything else. But the run I made by like 12 or 13 seconds.
Oh.
But it didn't matter. As long as you pass. They give you a time. As long as you pass, it doesn't matter how close you are.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
So you went right to green team right after that deployment?
Yes.
No downtime?
No down. Maybe a couple weeks.
How's your wife and family? I mean, what do they think of that?
I was very self-absorbed. I'm sure I asked, but my mind was made up like, hey, here's what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. And I would justify as like, hey, we get more money if I go over there versus over here. Deployments are shorter. Like I would pretty much turn into a salesman where I wouldn't, I was like, is that cool with you? But I really wasn't asking. Yeah. I was like, is that cool with you? But inside I'm like, I'm doing this no matter what you say. And that was kind of it. But she was supportive. From what I can remember, she was supportive. But I mean, the cracks in my family life.
Had they already started before you went over?
I'd say they started around after my first deployment.
Okay.
The cracks, they weren't little baby fractures anymore. They were splitting, and it was starting to get worse because I was partying hard.
Yeah.
I was drinking a lot, mostly on trips when I come home because the kids, I really wouldn't drink too much unless we had like a backyard barbecue or something. But I noticed she was doing it more, so I guess she was kind of coping with her own, dealing with it, and I really didn't take her into consideration at all. Like I was like, hey, dude, like suck it up, and that's just not the way to do it. And so that didn't help. I did not help. I take ownership that I really failed. I think I was definitely majority, if not sole owner, of breaking that marriage apart for sure. Like I was so self-absorbed. All I cared about was the teams. I cared more about the boys than her.
Yeah. Do you think that, looking back now, do you think drinking was definitely part of the culture at that time?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's better than cocaine. Or heroin, you know what I mean? So, I mean, and of course, in our society, it's socially acceptable. What's not socially acceptable is when you're, just doing it to try to go to sleep. And in my brain, and I wasn't like, because I didn't really see too much in those first two deployments. I really didn't see like a bunch of dead bodies, your buddies getting destroyed. I didn't see that in the first one. I mean, I think the biggest thing that I saw was probably that second deployment. It was my first deployment. There's a huge roadside bomb. And I remember going out to the prime minister wanted to go out there and look. And I remember just seeing like shoes lining the streets and the people blown out of their shoes from the overpressure.
Yeah. But
their shoes remained. And it was a crazy sight. And I was like, oh man. And like, it's one of those images that you don't forget.
Yeah.
But I really didn't see or really experience the stuff that you're like, man, that was a close one. Or like, whoa, okay, that's all right. We're good.
Yeah.
Not those first two deployments.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.